States?
No, but we were talking, and it turns out we went to the same shul in the States. But yeah, I probably spoke to him.
Sing the Rebbe's Niggun tonight. Things. Previous time. Alech b'mitecha Oreini Hashem Darkecha Alech b'mitecha Oreini Hashem Alech b'mitecha Thanks. Just click that. So we're going to learn from the Kodesh tonight. Where's the extra sheet for you? God, it's ready. No, just click on the black one. It's still running.
Oh, I think you just wanted that.
No, it's just hard for me to. No, the top, all the way up there. Yeah, those two, both of them. Okay. Thank you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you too. So we haven't learned from Ish Kodesh for a while. We've been doing a lot of Derech HaMelech, and I kind of just want to say a few words of introduction before we go into the Sefer. First of all, I feel like a lot of things that we see in Derech HaMelech and in the Rebbe's other writings are, in a sense, giving almost like the concept or the theoretical framework for what he's actually doing in Sefer Kodesh. Meaning, we've seen, let's say, last couple of weeks, pieces about what it means to believe, what emunah is, and how to connect to a deeper, more whole, total self, even and specifically under in a situation where sort of your intellectualities failure. There's no conceptual way to move forward. It's not something that he's doing in every single page of this book. The Rebbe is actually doing everything he taught in the Sefer. For me, at least, and I hope it's part of what I like teaching the other students, the more you see sort of the whole of Rebbe's Torah, the more you see what's going on there. There's a few other things I want to say before we dive in. The Sefer is very intense. Very intense, and it can trigger some intense reactions and responses. This is a person speaking more, so I get it. I'm 1942. That's what we're going to do. So I just want to put that out there before we even start, to know like we're going into some intense material here. And in a sense, there's two things that come to mind given that. One is we have to really connect to the Rebbe here, to the human being, the teacher who's speaking these words. This isn't some theoretical essay somebody wrote about the Holocaust. This is a man living and speaking from being there. There's a lot of times in the Gemara that say, if it didn't say this pasuk in the Torah, I would have never been able to say these words. But since it's written, we can say it. I feel that way about this entire book. This entire book is, if he hadn't been there saying these things, there's no way any human being could say these things about those experiences. It would just be offensive, inappropriate, insensitive, out of touch, somewhat insane to speak about it from the outside. So I think coming into this, we have to come in with the awareness. We're hearing words from the inside, not from the outside. And we have to receive them that way and relate to them that way. So let's start. This is from Parshat Be'era. Saw this Torah over Shabbos, and I felt we need to learn this. And then actually, in some part of it, he really kind of touches on the last drasha we were learning there. It's long, but I would really like to get through the whole thing tonight. So I'm going to try to cover ground. We'll see what happens. Okay. So the Rebbe is going to be addressing the opening pasuk of Parshat Be'era, Vayidaber Elokim el Moshe v'yomer elav ani Hashem. Right? There's something that all the commentators pick up on is there's two different names of God used here. Elokim speaks to Moshe and says, I am Hashem. I am the Givavke. And which we'll address at the end. And I'll just kind of skip through it. God says, I appeared to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov through the name Kel Shakai. But my name, Hashem, lo nodati lahem. I didn't make it known to them. Lechen, emor lebnei Israel, go say to Bnei Israel, Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. והוצאתי אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים, והצלתי אתכם מעבודתם, וגאלתי אתכם בזרוע נטויה ובשבטים גדולים. Taste of just reading those words. But the Rishonot of Gula, I'm gonna, God's promise to Israel. So here's where the Rebbe starts. Ki ita b'Gemara Erechim. Says in the tractate Erechim. Amar Rava bar Shila, Amar of Matna, or Matana, Amar Shmuel. We're going to talk now about, this is an amazing page of the Gemara that's talking about the music in the Beit HaMikdash. It says, Magrefa hayta b'Beit HaMikdash, Yud Nekavim hayuda. There was something in Beit HaMikdash called a Magrefa. Magrefa in modern Hebrew, does anyone know what it means?
It's great.
Close. A Magrefa is a rake. And while there are conflicting opinions as to what this utensil we're talking about is, it seems that it's some kind of ash shovel to shovel the ash off the altar. There's in Avodah Mikdash, one of the things that was done is called Shumat HaDeshen. The Kohanim dealt with the ash that was left on the altar after all the days and nights sacrifices had burned up. On a regular day, it was like one of the first, and if not the first thing that was done before dawn, that they would sweep up the ash. Sometimes take some of it outside, depends how much there were, sometimes spill some, but there was Truma Kadeshin. It wasn't just a cleaning job, it was a Truma. There's a donation to God. It's another act of divine worship to lift the ash. Okay? So they used something called a Magrefa. There was a Magrefa in the Beit HaMikdash, Yud Nekavim Hayuba, it had 10 holes in it. Kol echad v'echad motzi 10 minei zemer. Each of those 10 holes in the Magrefa could produce 10 musical notes. V'nimtza kula motzia 100 minei zemer. The entire Magrefa made 100 types of music that can come, 100 notes that it could produce. V'matnita tana hi ama ugvoha ama v'kata yotze himena v'asara nekavim hayuba. Kol echad motzi 100 minei zemer. So in the Gemara goes on, we have another teaching that it was one ama, one arm length by one arm length big, the size of it, one long, one tall, and it had like a big handle coming out of it. And on that handle, there were 10 holes, and each hole produced 100 different musical notes. This Magrefa, this shovel they were using to clean or deal with the ashes on the altar, it produced 1,000 types of music. The Perish Rashi says, what's a magrefa? Because again, the Gemara doesn't say what it is. Sheba gorfim et deshen hamizbeach. It's the utensil that was used to shovel and scrape off the collected ash on the altar. Like there are animal sacrifices. Like imagine, we clean the havyo, we clean your grill, you clean the stovetop. So the altar is having animals cooked on it all day. So it has to be scraped, it has to be cleaned.
Also, you're gonna have new ones for the next day.
Right, exactly. They have to clear space for the new day. So they use this amazing musical utensil to do that.
It's a musical show.
Why in the world, the Rebbe is asking, does the ash shovel need to sing? Why does it need to be a musical instrument? I'm thinking, have you ever, lived in a home with a fireplace? There's like that cast iron shovel thing. That's what we're talking about.
It's
here.
like Cinderella,
right? But this is like it makes 1,000 kinds of song. It's like a really fancy saxophone. Not only does it produce, it's not like a little recorder. It makes 1,000 kinds. It makes more music than any musical instrument that exists.
By itself?
Ad she'ita, meaning it can produce more music than 1,000 voices, sounds. Ad she'ita b'masechet Tamid. There's another part of the place in the Gemara that talks about the sound that used to come from this magrefa. They could hear it in Jericho. It was such a powerful instrument that they're playing it here in Yerushalayim and they're hearing it in Yericho. I don't know how many kilometers that is, but it's far.
You thought the Bakashas kind of kept you up.
Yeah. So Tosfos pirshu b'shvil ze perush acher. Tzrichim lavin leferush Rashi ma'anyeno lefi matzavim. So Tosfos, the other, one of the other major commentaries on the page of the Gemara actually says, no, you got to say there were two utensils. There was one that was used to clean up the ash and one that they played music alongside it. But Rashi says, no, we're talking about the same thing. And he's like, we got to understand what that's about. We got to understand what it's about. So it's not only that it plays music, but it's a more powerful music than anything else in the day. When they're in the Gemara Tamid that's talking about the raising up, right? The truma, the contribution, the holy avoda that had to do with lifting ash from the altar. On the regalim, Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuos, when there were more sacrifices brought, extra sacrifices brought every day, like Sukkot, the whole week we have 70 cows, like forget all the other normal stuff there. They wouldn't clear off the mizbeach at all. They would let it pile up because it was noy the mizbeach. It made the altar that much more beautiful. So on the holidays, you celebrate, you leave a big pile of ash on the altar. So that it can be recognized that a lot of sacrifices were made.
That applied to the Korban Pesach? Well,
the Korban Pesach, well, that's a good question.
Right? It was the blood that was on the altar. Right? It was roasted. But it was
right, each person kind of did their own and brought it home to eat. I don't know enough of the ins and outs, but I would guess that these are the ones brought communally on behalf of the whole nation for the holidays. I mean, there's also people's own medavot, people's own olas that they would bring as a voluntary offering. So all of that stuff is here. Benavin mazim ramez. What is this hinting? What is this here to teach us? Shiharu al ribuya korbanot dafka behadeshin. Why? That specifically through the ash left on the mizbeach is how they want to show this glorious thing, how many korbanot, how many sacrifices were brought. Ki betach hakol b'kavanah. There must be a meaning to this. Avol kol korbanot shayu makrivim hayu b'chinat v'yaleu l'latach b'no. Shnei bava mavim. And Abraham brought Yitzchak to Har Moriah, right to the Akedah. God says to Abraham, go take that ram, v'ha'aleu le'olah tachat b'no. Let the ram be in place of your son. A person who, Rebbe is explaining what this really means, this comes up in also the Lashon and the Nefesh, Tachat Nefesh, is that a person who brought a sacrifice, the implications, is that the word I'm looking for?
ramification.
No. I'm not looking for ramification. What's implied by the sacrifice, not a practical belief, but what's implied by the sacrifice is that I should be on the altar.
Mm-hmm.
My soul belongs to God. So I'm just taking something in my place to symbolize me returning to my source. So Hashem said to Avram, take a ram in place of your son. Not, okay, let's write it off. That was a bad idea. Let's do something else. But a korban is bringing something. We're actually supposed to bring an animal that resembles flesh.
It's a loop.
We want to. You want to
substitute for yourself.
Yes, it's a substitute. Bringing a korban was encountering the way that my soul and body belong to my Creator. But since God wants us to live, so we give an animal instead. So this is true whether somebody who had sinned and is coming to reconcile with God. This is true whether it was an olah or a gift, a voluntary offering. So the person really should have been giving their soul to God. Unatna Torah itza sheyakriv korban behema. But the Torah gave us some advice. Bring an animal instead. Lachen korbanot shel behemot marot lanu remez. The sacrifices of animals are there to show us another meaning, or a symbol of something. She'achar she'ikrivu v'nasu deshen, after they've been sacrificed and they become ash. Ro'im yoter marabu hakorbanot she'ikrivu. You can see that much more what was brought. What's the difference between, if I give my soul to God, right? He said nafsho, maybe he meant, but I think he's saying specific. I think what he's saying is, our souls belong to God. We need reminders of that. Now, I could spiritually offer myself to God, but there's no visible sign that I gave my soul to my Creator, that I know fully that full encounter with the way that I truly fully belong to God. But when the animal is there in front of my eyes and its ash remains, I can see it and know it's looking me in the face. The fact that I belong to my Creator. So the beauty, the added beauty of these Zbech is we want to see how it's amplified that much more so during the holidays when the whole nation is like being represented there. So you get this cosmic view of everybody's belonging to their Creator. Okay? And we're looking at pious ashes. Okay? So now the Rebbe is bringing it to Warsaw in 1942. כשאנשים מישראל נעדרים מפני רצונו יתברך, when people of Am Yisrael are lost, are taken מפני רצונו יתברך, שכך עלה במחשבה לפניו יתברך, שהם יעלו לקורבן אליו יתברך, for what the Rebbe is calling this, because this is what God has decided, that these people will be brought up as a sacrifice to God. This is the Rebbe is quoting here, just to build context, is quoting here the Gemara when Moshe Rabbeinu, the Gemara says, went to sit in Rabbi Akiva's classroom and saw Rabbi Akiva teaching, and then had a vision of Rabbi Akiva being torched. And Moshe said to Hashem, this is Torah and this is its reward. And Hashem says, Shtok kacha la b'machshava. Hashem said to Moshe, silence. This is what arose in my thought. This is what I came up with. Kacha la b'machshava, meaning the only thing that can be said here is that for some reason, unbeknownst to us, God has decided that this is. It's a fact. This is what happened. The Rebbe is saying that these are korbanot. This is a person actually being brought as a sacrifice to God. Literally sacrifice. Right. So I don't, I'm curious. I don't know what they knew. I'd imagine in Warsaw they knew what was actually happening. They knew about the crematoriums, but who knows? But people were being lost in all different kinds of ways.
They were starving.
They were starving. They were being shot in the streets. Everything. And the Rebbe is talking to whoever's left in the room at this point. It's like everybody's seen it. Everyone's lost people. Everyone knows that they might be next. Okay?
In modern Hebrew today, we say if someone's hurt, you have to go and say someone is murdered.
Korban, a sacrifice. So this is the language that he's using. But listen how he relates it to the Deshen. As rak achar shene'edaru ro'im yoter kirafu. Remember what we said about the Deshen, about the ash and Mizbech. It's only after the animal's been consumed and its ash remains, you can see how much was brought. Right, on the holidays, you can see the amount. See how much was there, the quantity. So the Rebbe says, when God takes human beings as sacrifices, after they're lost, we see how great they were. We see how immense this person's life was. Rav bekamut v'rav be'echut. The immensity, the enormity of quantity and the enormity of quality. Mitchila kshayu imanu, ad kama shayu yikarim lanu, kevavat einenu v'ruach apenu v'nishmatenu. Beforehand, when they were with us in life, as much as they were precious to us and dear to us, like the apple of our own eye pupils, and like the breath of our very nostrils and souls. And as much as we rejoiced with them and delighted in them, even so, when those people were with us, we could not know how much to truly value and appreciate them. We didn't even know the goodness that we had with them when they were with us. We couldn't fully appreciate it, what you're saying. Right? They're there. The space we have to appreciate each other is limited. But after they're taken, God save us. We see even more so how much the loss is. The heart longs and is in pain. There's no comfort that can be had. The only thing that can be said, the only glimmer of comfort that there is, the Rebbe calls this comfort. It doesn't sound like comfort to me. But he says the only thing there is what God said to Moshe after seeing Rabbi Akiva, this is what I've decided. I think to try to understand what the Rebbe calls a comfort here, nechama, is somehow this comes from God. Somehow God has decreed this. So that's like a line, like I said, if it's not written, I wouldn't be able to say it, but that's what the Rebbe is saying. This is what somebody is saying, who's standing there after years of seeing this. This is what he says. This is the only nechama that there is. The Rebbe still thinks that God is doing this. That's what he has. Okay? So we're going to come back to the music now. Come back to the show. That utensil that was made to collect the ash of the sacrifices, it made such a huge voice in the song that came from it. Why was there music in the Beit What do you think?
What I learned was the Levine wanted programs or hit the root for the music.
So he's going to take a different side. He says all the music in the Beit Hamikdash hayu lahashmiya b'maron kolam. Music in the Beit Hamikdash was for our voices to be heard up above. Kmo she'amar katuv, it says in the Torah. I think this is in B'Havotcha. Uviyom simchatchem uvemoadechem uverashei chadshechem utk'atem b'chatotrot al olotechem al divnei shamechem. On your holidays, on your days of festivities, on Rosh Chodesh, you will blast the trumpets over your olot, over your sacrifices, and al zivchei shamechem and your shlamim, all the sacrifices you bring, you're going to be playing trumpet, you're going to be playing music to me. V'hayu lachem lezikaron lifnei Elokechem ani Hashem Elokechem. And why? V'hayu lachem lezikaron lifnei Hashem Elokechem. There will be a reminder before God. God says this in the Torah. You blow the trumpet when you bring a sacrifice on the holiday, and I'll remember you. So this is what Rebbe is saying. We played music in the Beit HaMikdash so that heaven would respond to us. Okay? You get a response from above. L'chen haremez hu shelo lanu bilvad me'orer kol kach deshen hakorbanot achar shelu l'mavon. So the ash on the Mizbeach, it did serve a function for us, right? What he spoke about earlier, for us to recognize and realize how much we are given to God. How much of us, how the totality of our existence being bound to our Creator. We can see it before us. And on the holidays, we can see it even more. So there's a sign to us, but it's not only to us. Rak gam ken b'marom, rak ken gam b'marom. There's also an effect that it's meant to have above. So now the Rebbe is again speaking about the people who've been lost. Those things that these people could not achieve in their lives, they're able to do now above. To awaken, to arouse God's great rachamim for us, womb-like compassion, and to bring redemption and save us. Do you hear what the Rebbe is doing? You hear the link he's making? The utensil used, the shovel used on the Mizbeach gave us a sign of how of our belonging to God, and it was in our place there. And it also aroused some response. So the Rebbe is saying those same people who've been turned to ash, those people who've been taken as korbanot, are getting a response from God that they didn't have before too. Okay, that's how the Rebbe is explaining this. I would say, explains the wrong word. When someone else, he's praying it, he's, everyone there, it's a living Shiva house. It's not even that. It's a living, everybody's dying. The Rebbe's speaking to people, he's giving nechama, he's giving strength to people. He's saying, God is still here. That's, this whole book, that's kind of like the sum of the whole book is the Rebbe saying God is still here. And over again, God is still here. How? I don't know, but God is still here. V'zehu ha'inyan she'Rabbi Yossi, כשהתפלל בחורבה אחת מחורבות ירושלים, כמו שאמרו בריש מסכת ברכות, שמע בת קול אוהלי שהחרבתי את ביתי ושרפתי את היכלי והגליתם ובין ההוא. It's a story in the Gemara. Rabbi Yossi went to pray in one of the ruins of Jerusalem. And he heard a voice from heaven saying, "Oi to me that I've destroyed my home, and I've burned my chamber, and I've exiled my children among the nations." So Rabbi says, why didn't he ever hear this before? Rabbi Yossi. Only now he can hear this? The Eliyahu Amarlo, Eliyahu Navi comes to him and says, Rabbi Yossi, שבכל יום כשישראל נכנסים לבתי כנסיות ולבתי מדרשות אומר הקדוש ברוך הוא אשרי המלך שמקלסים אותו בביתו כך מה לו לאב שיגלה פניו ואוי להם לבנים שיגלו מעל שולחן אביהם. Every time that we gather in shuls and pray, and I believe we say Yehei Shmei Rabbah, that God is saying the same message. God is expressing pain over our separation, over the exile, over the destruction. So Eliyahu was telling Rabbi Yossi, this happens every single time people are praying. Why? And the Rebbe doesn't. Why is he only hearing this now? Well, he never heard him shul before. אבל כנזכר לאל, בחורבה כשנראה הדשן. What does this destroy? The ruin he's in? He's in the ruin of Jerusalem. It's like he's in the place where the ash is visible. כביכול גם במרום הצער והרחמנות יותר גדול. It's in that place, the pain and the compassion from above is even greater in the ruin of Jerusalem. In shul, it looks pretty. And God is also a little more pretty. And but when he walks into the churva, when he's praying in a place of destruction, he gets to hear God's pain. It's both. He's encountering the deshen. He's seeing the ash. And there, the pain is greater. Shama Rabbi Yossi, Mashalo Shama Arata. So Rabbi Yossi heard something there that he never heard. This again, I mean, I can't not take this to also be the Rebbe speaking about his own experience. That he, and we've seen him, right? He says, he's pretty explicit about this, that he is encountering a revelatory experience in the pain and destruction that he's witnessing. Not a nice revelatory experience, but a degree of reality that was never encountered before. That he never had to encounter, that humanity never had to struggle with. The rules have changed. When the rules have changed, there's something else that appears. So Rabbi Yossi heard something he never heard before when he walked into the room. Because that's where he was. He went to a place that he was able to hear that. And so that's, so far we've talked about the ash on the altar with regard to the musical instruments. With regard to this, what's the effect it has on us when we see it? What is the effect it has on God? The ash, okay? And the musical instrument being, right, that's a Chassidut also. Yes. Mm-hmm. And now the Rebbe is saying, the inyan avodah meram is one. What is this? What does this have to do with how we serve God? The Noda Mishari Kedusha Rav Chaim Vital Zatzal Shemin Ha'arba Yesodot Sheba'adam Nimshach HaYetzer Hara. The Shari Kedusha, a book from Rav Chaim Vital, named Sunil Diari, he says that the four elements that exist within a human being, sort of the four primal elements, the Yetzer Hara is drawn from all four. Thank you. Min Yesod Ha'esh Kas. Anger comes from the fire element. Yesod Ha'ruach Gava Geut. Pride comes from the wind element. What comes from dirt? That's lut. Laziness. Laziness comes from dirt. It just sits there. Okay? So dirt, we're going to talk about dirt now, because we talked about ash, and then we're going to talk about dirt.
That's the fourth one?
He didn't, water, I believe he says that water is like physical pleasure, pleasures and ta'avot, and things like that. Ubesefer HaKadosh Imrei Edim Melech Itav, the Rebbe's quoting his father, She'yitza rasha chamimut la'avira yecholim la'achnis l'kedusha l'shamesh bo l'hidaver b'chamimut l'mitzvah. So the Rebbe's father taught that our inclination, the part of us that is heat, that can be anger, that heat you can also use for something very holy. Right? You can get yourself on fire, passionately engaged in your service of God and in doing His will. And you go, all of the other elements likewise have a way to elevate them, to direct them in a holy way. Masha'en ken yetzer hara shel krirut amalek yefshar la'achnis l'kedusha ein sham. But the yetzer hara, the impulse, or the impulse is, because it's like the opposite of impulse. The piece of us that is called the coldness of Amalek, the stone coldness, you can't do anything holy with that. Being cold, you can't use coldness to serve God. Ki ha'yetzer hara mishamesh b'arba yesodot l'ra. Yesod ha'afar mishamesh yetzer hara shel Amalek b'chinas v'anachash afar lachmo. V'nemar lo arura tam mikol be'ima mikol chayat hasidat benu chatidech afar tochot kol mechayach. Okay, I'm going to just very briefly say, dirt, it's the curse of the snake was you're gonna wiggle around on your belly and just eat dirt your whole life. I think it's as if this just said there's nowhere to go with dirt, with that sort of dead weight, with coldness, with being with insensitivity, with being shut down. How do you serve God with being shut down? You actually can't. It's the opposite. Everything else that can be used for not holy things can also be used for holy things. But coldness, numbness, the Yetzer of Amalek, can't be used in a holy way. Tzrichim lahavin, he says, but ha'efshar l'shamesh gam bo ba'atzlut la'aveira shelo yaseh. What do you mean? Maybe you could be so lazy to not sin. You know, I'd really love to go off and do all these things, but like I just don't have the energy. I'm just going to sit here and watch TV instead. So like maybe it's like, okay, great. You're using it for your benefit. Listen to what he says. But really what this is about. Coldness, numbness, indifference. It's something that impinges on our ability to have faith. Being numb blocks our ability to believe. It's like those are the sort of the two sides, you know? It's like to believe in something, it means like there is potential here, there is life here, there is hope here. To be numb or apathetic or indifferent is to say it's like it's a dead end. There is no something else. There is no meaning here. There is no hope here. Think again who the Rebbe is speaking to. Think again who he's talking about. The coldness of Amalek, the numbness, the indifference, the apathy, the total not able to care anymore. How could you not feel that by this point? How could you not feel that for what he just even described? What else is there to believe in? And the Rebbe has the chutzpah to say to these people, there's something for us to do here. Let's see what he has to say. He says, since coldness and being, that kriyut, that frozenness, it damages our ability to believe. So anything that comes from that is not going to be good. Klomar, as long as indifference isn't ruling me, anything in me can be turned around. Any part of me, even the parts that are like really have sunk low, as long as I'm not numb and indifferent and apathetic, I can still find some part of me to change, to shift, to move, to choose something else. But because what he's calling here the klipa of Amalek, what he's calling so you drink the Kool-Aid, or it infiltrates you. It gets under your skin to the point where something dies in you, right? Something shuts down, and it numbs and closes our ability to have emunah, to believe in anything. As eino mishamesh ima'atzlu lavera rak lemitzvah. You know what happens? Your mitzvot are laziness. You do mitzvot, then they're also indifferent. You also don't care. There's nothing. It's like a flat line. I'm doing something good, I'm doing something not good. It doesn't really matter at that. In the heart, it's of indifference. The actions are all damaged. Our ability to live is we sink from indifference and becoming numb.
Psychologically, is he describing sort of a detachment that sort of people may have been experiencing that affected?
I mean, again, how could you not? How could you not? What is like one of our greatest coping mechanisms as human beings. Like, how can you survive without being indifferent? How could you survive without like shutting down? I don't know the answer. I'm just reading the words of a person who somehow didn't. The person who somehow fought. And this is a call. I hear him also saying a call to battle, saying we've seen our world destroyed. It's continuing to be destroyed. Any one of us is going to be next. Somehow there's a part of him that still wants to say, You know what we can do? We cannot be indifferent. How could you say that? So as mishamesh et ha'atzlut la'avera, rak l'mitzvah la'hefech et ha'chamimut la'avera rachmayis. So everything we have no, it's almost like this is the central axis. We want to like look at any parts of my own, feelings, impulses, emotions, reactivity, whatever. It's like the central axis is this. The central axis is the coldness, the numbness, the indifference. Have you become numb? If you become numb, everything else is gonna. You don't have a way to steer anything. That's, it's a loss of self. It's a loss of choice. It's a loss of any degree of self-directed living.
So that implies that feeling the pain, the horrific pain,
Yes.
is a gain. It's actually a gain.
At least he's saying that it has to be. Yes, he seems to be saying it has to be. He seems to be saying we can't be indifferent to all the death we're seeing around us. We can't ignore the ash on the altar. And remember what he's saying. He's saying the only thing we can say is kachala b'machshava. I don't know how or why, but he's saying the one thing he's still saying is that God is here somehow. That's so far from what he said. That's sort of the point of somehow something here still matters. He says, right? He said these people we can, and even think about what he said before. He's like, we can feel our longing for these people more powerfully now. It's more potent, our ability to appreciate the people. They're more potent in what they can do to change things. Again, I can't say these words, but this is what he's saying. Okay? This is what he's saying. Lichora ma inyan atzlut v'yesod ha'afar l'karer be'emunah ve'eich ze mishamesh bo yetzer hara shel amet livkom emunah chas v'kavida. So I want to say that what the Rebbe is saying here, it's like it's the most radical and extreme situation we can imagine, but he's also saying things that are very relevant to us here. He's saying, why is it that this thing of atzlut, this dirt, the afar, can have the effect of numbing our ability to have faith? Right? This is everything we saw in the last few weeks in Derech HaMelech. That emunah, our ability, our capacity to have faith, comes from a part of us that's beyond our intellect. It's beyond our comprehension. But what does that dirt do to us? What does that heaviness do to us? It drags us down so that we cannot rise beyond. I think belief comes from being able to have a connection to something beyond your mind, beyond your intellect. But when we're going through things that drag us down, we cannot access something beyond. Atzlut, the inability to move, the numbness, the coldness, the indifference, what it is like a sinker. We cannot rise beyond it. So there is nowhere to access emunah. Emunah isn't remember what we saw in the last previous weeks. It's not telling myself, yes, I believe these things intellectually. Because what I'm experiencing now does not work intellectually. It does not allow you, the heaviness, the weightiness of it, does not allow you to rise above and connect to something in a holy way. So of course he says, great suffering that people experience that breaks them and knocks them down, of course it's going to damage their emunah. Of course they won't be able to have emunah. How does it start? You don't have thoughts that are like, no, everything I believe is not true. It's not like that. You have no moments of exaltation. You cannot be uplifted. Because you're lying on the ground. You turn to stone. Your heart, your mind is shut down. That's what suffering does to people. So then, finally, from that place, after you've been so cold on the ground because of the suffering you're experiencing, so then those kind of other kinds of thoughts come in. That for that reason, in the avodah of korbanot, when Am Yisrael brought something in totality to God, nishar ha'efer, what remains? The ash remains. What remains on the altar is the dirt that cannot be included in holiness. It didn't go up with the korban. This part that cannot be included in a holy connection to God. But what happens? We do something with it. Do you hear what the Rebbe is saying? He's saying, until now, how impossible it is. How impossible it is to not be shut down and die inside. How impossible it is to not be broken by everything. And he says, and you know what? That is exactly, there was another step after a korban was brought. After a korban was brought, we encountered our inability to reach God. And we took that, and we raised that up too. Uvama tormimoto. And what did we use to lift it up? Magrefa.
Music.
We used the musical shovel. Shehotzia mine kli zemer. Played all kinds of music. Simcha Yeshivat Yisrael. There's a redemptive song. Ki b'Yeshua v'simcha yicholim lahalot hakol. It says, being saved, touching joy, enables us to lift everything. Everything. Even that dirt that remained after you served God. Ulafoch mechashocha lenaora, to transform darkness into light. Hava b'regalim, on the holidays, lo yibin dashninotam. They didn't have to lift it up with the music. Ya regalim hem atzmam zman simcha. They themselves were times of joy. Ora Yeshua Kedusha Rabba B'chinan La'atid Shakol Yitale Kedusha. It was the festivals are a taste of a future reality when everything can be raised up. So you don't even need the music; it's in the air. But you're feeling it already because they didn't do the truma; they left the ash. You can just look at the ash. You could just look at the dirt on the holiday and know that it has a place. So I have a big question about what we've read until now, because what is the Rebbe trying to say about Yeshua and Simcha here? Like, what kind of Simcha and Yeshua is he even talking about here? So I don't know. But what I do want to say is part of the way I relate to this dirt, right? The dirt which either becomes the heavy numbness of I can't care anymore because of what I've seen and felt, or somehow becomes, you know what, that also has a place. It's almost like after you do something, you do what's right, you do what's holy, you do something that makes sense, or experience something that makes sense, you're still left with your longing. What's left on the altar afterwards is our longing. And what we're left with after any experience of goodness is still that sense of, why isn't it always this way? Or couldn't it have been more than that? Or is this really all that there is? Or I come back and I'm just back where I was before, as we saw. There's a piece that never reaches where we hope it can reach. This There's a piece of us that it never reaches where we hope that where we hope we can reach. There's part of us that never reaches there. This is for like maybe another discussion, but I have for about I don't know how many years now, like a whole Torah about disappointment and how important it is, like as a religious person to deal with disappointment. And you can't really do it otherwise. We're always left with something that didn't make it. Maybe most of it. Most of us that didn't get it. So, but what happens if my longing doesn't have a place? Then it becomes burned up ash. I'm burned by it. It's dead. And I cannot really believe in the things that I want to believe in because what I know closer to my own heart is it doesn't really work. Or I am never really going to make it. Or the story that is not what I... And what the Rebbe said was like, the Beit HaMikdash, after... What did you do with the remains? What did you do with what's left over in the Beit HaMikdash? It also had a place. There was a place for our longing. There was a place for what remains, what couldn't. This is literally the remains of the animal, right? I was supposed to be on the korban. I'm looking at my amazing. There's a God, and everyone's got it. And then what happens afterwards? Like, oh, I'm just like a burnt up carcass. And I didn't go. I didn't get there the whole way. What do I do with that? What do I do with me that's still here? With the afar, you saw the afar, the part of me that makes me not able to be motivated, to be lazy, to be shut down. That makes it hard for me to believe, where I hit a wall. What do I do with that? That's what we're saying. We have to find a place for our longing to exist. We have to find a place for the longing to be there. Not to go away, just to know. Just to know that it's there and that it not only can be there, but needs to be there. And it's part of the avodah too. Part of the avodah too. Did you want to say something before?
No, I just was agreeing with you. Okay. I mean, that's the Yetzer Hara. Right? I mean, what you said.
Okay. Let's read on, because the Rebbe is going to take it further. We can understand a little bit more. Oh, I just want to reiterate what the Rebbe said. Yeshua and Simcha, music. I think there's hope. There is something. There is some. His language in Savizir is that nigun is a ladder that we. It's one of the ladders to go to touch above. Music can transport us somewhere. Joy can lift everything, he says. Even a taste of Yeshua, a taste of something good that happened to you can lift up the dirt. It can raise up the dirt even just for a moment. But it doesn't. Joy is something that isn't limited by all of our shoulds. By all our failures aren't. Joy doesn't follow the rules of our failures. When we touch joy, it doesn't matter everything that we've done wrong or everything that didn't work out. There's a story. The Rebbe himself lost like 3 of his closest family members in the early part of the war in 1939 on Kolmod Sukkos. He lost his son, he lost his daughter-in-law, and I think another niece or something. They all got a bomb fell. That was beforehand even maybe, but he already, but at the beginning of the war, he already lost everything. He's like, I'm done. At the beginning of the war, he's like, I've already been defeated. My only hope is that Am Yisrael comes out together. And that Simchas Torah, there was Kalonymous, he lost his son, and I think the daughter-in-law in those days, and he's there, Simchas Torah, because he didn't know what was going to happen. Everyone was like, okay, we're not doing Simchas Torah. And there's like stories about this, that they got together for Mariv, and the Chazan was like crying, and couldn't like really say and couldn't say the tefillah with like the the nigun of the Yom Tov, right? They were saying Yom Tov here. They're gonna sing, and it's like the Rebbe said, "No, Yom Tov." and that the Rebbe did, that's the kafos. How do you hold possibility in the face of no possibility? How do you also say, I don't understand or I can't make sense of how this works, but there is something beyond, or in addition to, or alongside all of the terror, there's also something that's also allowed there. How do you,
an equal counterbalance of something just as overwhelming, just as overpowerful, just something like pure.
I don't even know.
Like the simcha that isn't held down by anything.
Right, it's hard to give it proportions, but I think, how do we open ourselves up to experience a spectrum of feelings and be able to embrace them, even if we feel like what happened before should mean that this can't happen again. My pain should mean that I can't have hope again. My sadness should mean that I can't ever experience joy again. Because that's the place that we tend to go. It's like a muscle that atrophies. Like we get hurt, and no, this is now the reality. And somehow the Rebbe is saying, you know what? It's true. And there's a battle that can be fought, which is to not only collapse. Not only collapse. The Ash 2, it was on the Mizbeach. The Ash 2 had a song that was played after. This reminds me of Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen wrote a song called "Dance Me to the End of Love." It's sung at like weddings and like galas, and it's like kind of like it's become like a what's the word? I don't know. I lost the words a little bit, but Leonard Cohen wrote this song inspired by hearing about a string quartet in Auschwitz. He heard that there was an orchestra in Auschwitz. I think they used to perform for the Nazis. Leonard Cohen heard that there were Jews playing music at Auschwitz, and he wrote this song as an expression of however that touched him. This is what that song, "Dance Me." Read the lyric, look it up. The lyrics are just when you know the context. When you know the context, does this come back yet? When you know the context of that song, the words mean something totally different. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Say, what's going on?
If he weren't writing this,
Amen. Somebody asked me to repeat things that were said because it's hard to hear, but if he weren't writing this, we couldn't believe it. אפשר להבין מעט יותר לפי השגתנו הקטנה, כי נודע שהרבה יסודות נמשכים ארבע אותיות הוואי, I'm going to read fast. יסוד האפר נמשך מאותיה האחרונה שבשם שהיא בחינת מלכות. The Rebbe says, I'm going to take it further. The four elements are not just elements. The four elements correspond to the letters of God's name. The four elements correspond to the letters of God's name. And the last letter of God's name, the He Achrona, is the element of afar, of dirt. The dirt is the last He, is the Malchut, is this world reality. Okay? Everything, the afar that we've been talking about, the thing that drags us down, the place of numbness, of inner collapse, is the last letter of God's name. It's the place where this is the world we encounter in the most immediate sense. The He Achrona. ולכן כשהיא נפרדת לגמרי, חס וחלילה ונופלת, אז נעשה בבחינת מפריד אלוף, לא יראה מאורות ופגם הלבנה שעצמה חשיכה. Just kind of give a general translation of what he's talking about. What happens when the Malchut is separated from the rest of the name? What happens when the last He isn't connected to the Vav He Yud? What happens when this world is divided from God? It's dark. It's dark, and lo yireh ma'orot, you cannot see any light, you cannot see any hopefulness. When when the Malchut, when this world is aroused to connect with our beloved, so the Shekhinah sings a song. When she's aroused, the arousal to connect with God is expressed through song. Kanoda, he's basically just giving us over Sefer Kabbalah right now. So we just take it for. He says, Kamosha Amrinan. This comes up in the prayer that's said before Tehillim, right? There's a little prayer. It's a beautiful thing before Tehillim. He writes on, and part of it is, and let the song that I'm singing arouse Chavatzelet Hasharon Lashir, to allow that flower to sing its song. Haroach tifrach v'tagel lafkilat v'ranen k'vod ha'levanon nitan lahadar ha'kamer v'hasharon hemer yu k'vod Hashem adar l'keinu. He says basically, the Shekhinah's movement, arousal to reunite with Baruch Hu. The Malchut's turning towards her beloved, our world, our turning back towards God is expressed through song. Ve'az adarabah, ha'hitrachkut shemikodem me'oreret shukata v'shirada k'dei lityached. What happens to that disconnect until this point? What happens to the disconnect? The distance that had been until now, that the distance itself is what arouses the desire. The distance itself is what produces our song. Right? It's the song of the longing to want to connect to God. Dafka after being cut off. Dafka after being burned. After being distant. The song that comes from Miknaf ha'aretz zmirat zamer, I think it's in the Navi. We'll hear a song from the edges of the earth. The distance produces the song. It's amazing to me that the Rebbe is like, well, I think about it. He's somehow drawing this in through him. He's quoting Shir Shirim. Shnei Barbar, Hitkarvut, Vidrachut. Shir Shirim is all closeness and distance. It's not a love song of like we met, we bought flowers, we went on a honeymoon, we bought a condo. Like Shir Shirim is Dodi Chama Kavar. I came and he had just left. Then when I hear his voice, it's like I'm astounded. The longing and the desire is intensified by the distance, by the missing, by what's not there. Remember what we said earlier, how much we can long for what we had when we can feel its preciousness that much more deeply when it's not here in front of us. I mean, this too can produce some kind of deeper passion. But he's saying more than that. What happens when a parent and a child are apart from each other? Their love is awakened even more strongly. This is how the dirt on the altar sang the most powerful song, the loudest song in the Beit Mikdash. Through that weight, that heaviness, what cannot be lifted up. The desire, the song is aroused from that place. The longing is greater. It's not, you don't sing a song after it all worked out. What do we call love songs in our culture? They're songs of pain. They're songs of wanting. The reggae wasn't even, the holidays were a time of true closeness with God. You know what happens when you know how close you are with God? That you can see how much more longing is there. You can fully embody how much of you is wanting. wanting and being connected at the same time. Wanting and being connected are together at that time. V'nachzor la'nizkar la'el. Now, like in every Torah here, the Rebbe ends with a prayer for salvation. Bechor b'shama Rabbi Yossi yoter mipnei she'az nitorarei yoter rachmanu mitzar Yisrael. Why did Rabbi Yossi hear the voice from above in the ruin of Jerusalem? Because that's where God's own Rachmanut was aroused more deeply. In the place of the ruin is where God's Rachmanut was deeper because of the pain of Am Yisrael. So now let's go to the pasuk of Va'era. Vayidaber Elokim el Moshe v'yomer elav ani Hashem. Achar b'chinat Elokim she'udin mitkala havaya barachim. Right, the opening of Parshat Va'era is God, the voice of judgment. What did Moshe just say? God, since you sent me here, you've made it even worse for these people. They've been slaves for hundreds of years. You're going to save them? You told me to come here to save them? It's gotten worse, God. So first, what's the lashon? Vayidaber Elokim Moshe. So the midat hadin, the judgment, the painful punisher, speaks. The one who's enslaved the Jewish people for 200 years. It says, transforms into compassion, transforms into rachamim. And God says, I appeared to all the avot, but I never made good on my promise. Moshe's holding God accountable. God's taking responsibility. Kalonymous Shapira's Rashi. This is, I know you need to go, Yiscom. I'm going to try to say it fast. Rashi says there, one of the things Rashi says is that, why does God mention the avot? He says, Chaval al da'avdim v'lo mishtachim. God is missing the pain of what we've lost. The pain of not having, the avot never saw it, never saw me make good on my promise. The avot were such holy people, he's missing Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, he's missing but we're talking God is regret. Listen to this. Al yedei hitorut hachaval. God is moaning chaval. Hageula mitoreret. The redemption of Egypt is coming out of God's groan over the chaval al da'avri, the pain of what's been lost this whole time. What does God say? God goes through that same process. I can't be numb anymore. I can't be indifferent anymore. I can't be punishing them anymore. The pain has to end. It's overwhelming. God's pain of chaval that Moshe arouses, that Amos arouses, and I'll wrap up here. Right? What do we see in Parshat Shemot that brings God back into the picture in Mitzrayim? Israel scream and moan and groan. And it says that, and their groans go up to God from the pain of their suffering, and God remembers the connection of Yitzchak and Yaakov, the Yeda Elokim, and there's like an awareness that is awoken.
Darberg said it's the primal sound. Such anguish that even words can't.
Yes, there are no words. There's no prayer. It's not a prayer, but it says V'tal Shavatam Elokim. Right, that God hears that. That scream. I want to say just one thing to kind of tie it in. The lashon of the pasuk is Vaya'anchu. Vaya'anchu is the word to use. They're moaning, they're sighing. And the Zohar says it doesn't say Vayit anchu. It's not like a reflexive verb. It means like and they were sighed. Not that they sighed in themselves, but the Zohar says they caused God to sigh over them. They caused a sigh above. They were sighed over. This is the chaval. It evokes from God a chaval. Regret. Missing. That same sense of loss being mirrored back to the point where we can't go on this way. Can't go on this way. That's the prayer that the Rebbe did this year. Shkach, thank you for coming. We can do this. Maybe just a minute or two to like kind of recap and kind of bring out some of the. Maybe first of all, this is just. Are no words for this to describe what he's saying. But beyond seeing the model of what he was doing in 1942 in Warsaw, and what he himself was going through and able to express and articulate, he's giving us, for me, this piece of what do I do with apathy? Where is the battlefield? Where is there an ability to hope, even with the feeling of having been burned, of loss, of hopelessness, of yeush, right? I have every reason in the world to give up. So he's saying, the Beit HaMikdash had a Nevuah. And this is what it was. Giving a place for the longing. And he's even saying that here, God has longing too. There's a place to meet God. And we see in this parts of Eshkovish's this last year of the Drashot, the Rebbe starts to talk about God's responsibility. Later Torahs here start to talk about how God cries back. And that there's the level of all the things that we expect to work, all the things that we've been told how it should be, what we're supposed to come to believe. And then there's dealing with reality that doesn't add up to that story. When the world doesn't work that way, or the parts of the world that don't fit that narrative, what do you do with that? So our go-to response and our natural response is to shrink and to shrivel, right? To say, and not only to say, well, there's like my holy beliefs, and then they don't become separate. My belief shrivels because of those experiences. So the Rebbe is saying to us, how do you meet God there? How do you bring God to there? That's what this talk is talking about. Give an expression to the longing. Allow yourself to feel joy when you can feel joy. Even after you don't expect it to be possible. Yeah. Listen to the song. That's, Ma'aleh HaKol, what he said.